A man takes his loyal dog for a routine walk in the park, like every morning. The sun is out, the air is calm, and everything feels ordinary until suddenly, he's attacked out of nowhere. In a moment of chaos, his dog lunges at the attacker, saving his life without hesitation. But what happens next is far from ordinary. The dog's reaction triggers a mystery. Why did he protect him so fiercely? What the man uncovers about the dog's past, and how it connects to his own broken childhood, will shatter your heart. Before starting the story, make sure to subscribe to the channel so that you don't miss any update in future. The man had always believed he'd adopted the dog, but he didn't yet know the dog had found him. Every morning at exactly 7 a.m., Nathan clipped the leash onto Cooper's collar, grabbed his coffee, and headed out the door. Their walks were almost meditative, same path, same rhythm, same sense of quiet peace. Cooper, his golden retriever with deep, thoughtful eyes, trotted faithfully by his side. He wasn't just a pet. He was Nathan's companion, his therapist, his comfort after long, anxious nights. Nathan never questioned where Cooper had come from. A year ago, he'd wandered up to his porch during a thunderstorm, drenched, shivering, and alone. No collar, no microchip. Nathan posted pictures online, knocked on doors, asked around. Nothing. After 2 weeks of silence, the local shelter told him he could keep the dog.
So he did.
And in return, Cooper gave him more than love. He gave him purpose.
Peace.
But peace doesn't last forever. That morning started like all the others. The early summer sun filtered through the trees. Birds chirped above, and Nathan's neighborhood park buzzed gently with morning joggers and kids with scooters. Cooper sniffed a bush, then looked up at him, tail wagging. Then it happened. A shadow darted from behind the trail fence. Nathan barely had time to turn when a man lunged at him, screaming. He didn't see a weapon, just flashing rage in the attacker's eyes. Before he could react, before he could run, the man shoved him to the ground and raised something high in the air. Time slowed. A metallic glint. A brick? A wrench? Nathan's mind froze. His body braced for pain. But instead, a growl exploded from beside him.
Cooper launched.
The dog moved like a bullet, slamming into the man's side. The attacker tumbled. The wrench hit the ground. Cooper barked ferociously, teeth bared, circling the man as he scrambled backward. Blood ran down Nathan's forehead as he sat up, dizzy, gasping, watching his dog hold the man at bay like a trained protector. Then came the sirens. A nearby runner had seen it all and called the cops. In minutes, 2 officers tackled the man to the grass. Nathan tried to stand but collapsed again, woozy and weak. Cooper immediately pressed himself to Nathan's chest, whining, licking his face, refusing to move. The officer crouched beside them. "You okay, sir?" Nathan nodded, barely. I think so. Thanks to him." The cop looked at Cooper, impressed. "That's some dog you've got." Almost like he was trained for this. But Nathan frowned. Cooper had never shown aggression. He was gentle, calm. He slept curled like a baby and yawned like a sleepy toddler. He'd never barked at strangers, never chased cats, never growled. And now suddenly, he'd fought like a military K-9? Something didn't add up. Later that evening, Nathan sat on the couch, wrapped in gauze, holding Cooper's head in his lap. The dog looked up at him, eyes steady.
Wise.
But haunted, like he knew something Nathan didn't. The news reported the attacker had a record, multiple assault charges, random violence, wrong place, wrong time. Nathan should have felt lucky. Instead, he felt uneasy. He found himself staring at Cooper differently now. "Who are you, boy? Where did you really come from?" The next morning, Nathan pulled down the old crate he'd kept in the closet. It still had the soaked blanket Cooper arrived with, a faded tag attached. He'd never thought to look closely before. But now, something pushed him. He held the tag under a lamp. Barely visible was a stamp, initials burned into the corner. MKS. Nathan froze. That wasn't random. Those initials haunted him. They belonged to the children's home he'd grown up in, Miller Kingsley Shelter. But that place had shut down over a decade ago, burned to the ground. He remembered bits and pieces.
hazy,
Loud alarms, screaming, flames.
and a dog.
A golden retriever who barked until the last kid was pulled out. But that was over 12 years ago.
It couldn't be, could it?
Nathan didn't sleep that night. He dug up news archives. A fire. 7 kids rescued. 1 dog unaccounted for. The reports named him Max, the therapy dog.
Trained, loyal.
Never found again after the fire. Nathan zoomed into an old newspaper photo. Same eyes. Same white patch near the nose.
Same dog.
His heart stopped. Cooper, he whispered. Max. The dog lifted his head, ears twitching, as if answering to both names. Nathan broke. He wept, not because he was afraid, but because it felt like fate had circled back. He had once been the boy pulled from that fire. And Max, Cooper, had been the one who barked until the last embers died.
He'd come back.
He had found him. Underscore, 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 underscore. The living room felt too quiet now, as if the walls themselves were holding their breath. Nathan sat on the edge of a couch, staring at Cooper, Max, with a weight in his chest he hadn't felt in years. Not fear, not confusion. It was something deeper, like a ghost had walked back into his life, not to haunt him, but to remind him that some bonds never break, not even across lifetimes. He whispered again, softer this time, Max. The dog blinked slowly, his head tilting ever so slightly, then walked over and rested his chin on Nathan's knee. As if to say, I never left. Nathan's fingers shook as they ran through Max's fur. You pulled me out of the fire, and now you've done it again. His voice cracked.
Why?
How did you even find me? He didn't expect an answer. But the look in Max's eyes, calm, deep, knowing, told him this wasn't some coincidence. This was destiny, resurfacing. Nathan needed answers. He pulled out his old shoebox of keepsakes from the shelter days. Letters, drawings, a plastic bracelet from the hospital. All things he'd locked away to forget. Among them was a photo, burned at the edges, water-stained, of 7 children, shoulder to shoulder, standing in front of a beat-down building. And there, sitting proudly at their feet, was a dog, Max. His body was smaller then, his fur a bit brighter, but the eyes, the same. Nathan flipped the photo over. On the back, written in shaky pen, Our Guardian Angel, Room 3C, Room 3C. Nathan remembered it now. The tiny room with peeling blue wallpaper, where the youngest kids slept in bunk beds that creaked with every breath. That room had been his first real home, and Max had been its protector. Nathan's thoughts raced. If Max had survived that fire, where had he gone? Who had he lived with? What roads had he taken before ending up on Nathan's doorstep 12 years later? He suddenly needed to know everything. The next day, he drove 3 towns over to where the Miller Kingsley shelter once stood. Now, only cracked concrete remained, weeds growing through the cracks like veins of time refusing to let go. A rusted gate stood half open. Nathan stepped through it slowly, Max trotting beside him like a soldier returning to the battlefield. A faint breeze passed, carrying the distant scent of ash, even after all these years. Nathan crouched near where the front entrance used to be, tracing the ground with his fingers. We were just kids. We didn't even know what safety meant. But you never let anything hurt us. Max sat down beside him, staring at the same spot. Silent. Still. As if remembering too. Then Nathan noticed something. The corner of a metal tag sticking out from the dirt. He dug gently, pulling out a rusted collar with a scorched tag still attached. Max Room 3C. Therapy certified. Nathan's breath caught. It was real. All of it. Not just some childhood fantasy. He picked up the tag and held it in front of Max. You were always real. For a moment, Max stared at it. Then, without hesitation, He licked Nathan's hand and nudged the tag closer to his own chest. As if reclaiming it, Nathan felt his throat tighten. "You saved my life."
Twice.
How many others? He remembered stories from the shelter, kids who'd cried through the night until Max crawled onto their beds. Kids who stopped biting their nails or wetting their beds simply because Max was near. The dog had been their calm in a world full of chaos. Nathan stood slowly and turned to leave, but Max didn't move. He stayed rooted to the ground, looking at a specific corner of the property, near the back where the woods began.
He barked.
Just once, low and deep. Nathan turned. "What is it, boy?" Max began to walk, slowly, with purpose. Not sniffing or exploring, leading. They arrived at a tree Nathan didn't recognize. Large, twisted, ancient. Max circled it once, then sat beside a mound of soil, long settled, but not forgotten. Nathan knelt. "What is this?" And then, like lightning through fog, he remembered. After the fire, when the smoke cleared, the staff had said Max never made it. That they'd found a body, but they never showed it.
No one saw it.
Just a grave. Quiet.
Fast.
Unmarked. This was it. But Max hadn't died. He had escaped. Disappeared. Hidden. And somewhere along the way, he had made his way back, full circle, to the only boy he once refused to leave behind. Nathan couldn't hold it anymore. He broke down, right there, tears pouring as Max rested his head against Nathan's arm. "You came home," Nathan whispered. "You remembered me, even when I forgot you." Max let out a soft whine, not of sadness, but of peace. They sat there, under the weight of memories, surrounded by silence that didn't feel empty. It felt full. Full of stories, of promises kept, of loyalty that stretched beyond logic and time. Back at home, Nathan placed the old collar and tag inside a glass case and set it on the mantel. Every night after, before going to bed, he'd sit with Max, now not just his dog, but a living memory of a boy once lost and the guardian who refused to let go. One night, as Nathan tucked himself in, Max lay beside him, breathing slowly. Nathan whispered, "You waited 12 years just to make sure I lived." Max opened one eye, then gently nudged closer. "Then I guess now it's my turn," Nathan said, hand resting over Max's heart. "To protect you." And for the first time in years, Nathan slept like a child again. Weeks passed. The town had mostly forgotten the news about the park attack. Life, as it always does, moved on. But not for Nathan. For him, everything had changed. Every morning now, he walked with Max, not out of routine, but out of reverence. Every step was a silent thank you. Every moment together, a miracle. Nathan no longer looked at his dog and saw just a companion. He saw a memory walking beside him. A protector. A past returned. A promise fulfilled. The world might have forgotten Max's story, but Nathan couldn't. One evening, they sat in the park, beneath the same oak where Max had first growled at the attacker. The sun was low, casting long shadows over the grass. Nathan sipped his coffee quietly, watching a young boy play fetch with his puppy nearby. Max sat beside him, calm and steady as always. "I've been thinking," Nathan murmured, "maybe I didn't find you by chance. Maybe you knew exactly where I was. Maybe you've always known." Max didn't react much, just looked up, then laid his head on Nathan's foot like he always did. But Nathan had made a decision. That night, he opened his laptop and started typing. Not an email, not a post, a letter, one he never thought he'd write. "To the 7 of us who survived the fire, I think I found someone you remember." He wrote about Max, about room 3C, about the attack, about the rusted tag and the photo and the scarred corner of that abandoned lot. He shared how Max had saved his life, again, and how he somehow remembered a boy he hadn't seen in over a decade. He wasn't writing to strangers. He was writing to siblings. From the shelter. Nathan didn't know where they were anymore.
Some had been adopted.
Some had vanished into the system. But if even one of them read this, they'd remember Max. They'd know. And maybe they'd feel a little less lost. He posted the letter in a private Facebook group meant for kids who had aged out of foster care. He titled it, "Room 3C Still Remembers You." The post got 0 likes that night, but by morning, there were 143. Then comments. Names he hadn't seen since he was 7. Is this real? I still have the scar from when he pulled me off the ledge. Max? You mean our Max? My God, I thought he died. Nathan read each comment with tears in his eyes. The kids from room 3C weren't just reading, they were waking up. One by one, they remembered. And somehow, they were healing. 2 weeks later, Nathan stood in front of the rebuilt Miller Kingsley Community Center, a place now meant to offer therapy to kids like them. And beside him, standing tall in a red ribbon and new collar, was Max. Not as a relic from the past, but as a symbol of resilience. The community had rallied together. A plaque was installed near the main gate. Nathan's voice cracked as he read it aloud. In memory of the dog who never gave up on us, who stood watch through fire and silence, who came back when we needed him most. Room 3C remembers. Always. Max didn't understand the applause, or the tears, or why strangers were kneeling to touch him, whispering thank yous through trembling voices. But he stayed calm, gentle, almost regal, as if he knew this wasn't about fame. This was closure. Later that day, back at home, Max slept more than usual. Age had caught up with him. His eyes weren't as sharp. His legs moved slower. Nathan could feel time pulling them apart, inch by inch. But one night, something shifted. Max didn't come to bed. Nathan found him lying in the hallway, near the front door, where he had first arrived years ago, drenched and lost. He was breathing, but just barely. Nathan sank to his knees, voice trembling. Hey, it's okay. I'm here. Max, open one eye. Nathan held his face gently. You came back for me. You kept your promise. Max's tail thumped once, then stopped. A long breath, and silence. Nathan didn't cry right away. He just held him, sitting there on the cold wooden floor, rocking gently, whispering the only thing he could manage. Thank you. The next day, Nathan buried Max beneath the old oak in the park, the very place where he had once saved his life. The town showed up. Strangers, friends, foster kids now grown. Some came with stories. Others came with nothing but silence and tears. The town renamed the path that ran through the park. It was now called Max's Walk. But Nathan didn't need a path or a plaque. He had something else. A heartbeat that never left. A legacy that didn't need words. And every time he walked alone, he could still feel it, that soft breath beside his heel, the weight of loyalty that never faded. He often told others, Max wasn't just a dog. And when people asked who he really was, Nathan would smile and say, he was memory wrapped in fur. He was love that waited. He was the boyhood I lost finding its way home. And even now, when the wind is just right and the trees lean in quietly, Nathan sometimes hears that faint bark in the distance. And he smiles, because some souls never really leave. They just walk beside you, quietly forever. True loyalty never forgets, even when time, distance, and life try to erase it. Some bonds are written so deep in the heart, they outlive pain, memory, even death. And sometimes, the one you think you saved was sent to save you all along.